you check the children? Show a little match sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is what
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird,
Fuego here.
and we are here to review the new sequel release to a movie that I'm not sure how many people actually got to see ultimately. It was a very entertaining movie. It was just called Sisu, and it was simply about a man who I had forgotten. I believe he was mute the entire first movie as well, right?
Yep. I don't believe he talked at all. Everybody else around him did, but
Yeah. So same thing here, and yeah, it was a crazy action fest while he was just trying to protect some gold that he had his hands on, if I recall
and also,
correctly.
and also rescue the girls that the Germans kidnapped. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was a crazy over-the-top action movie, and then suddenly we got word that they were doing Sisu Road to Revenge, which is a sequel to it, and picking up with the same legend of a character, and it's because that's what he's technically referred to in the movies. And it was another action-packed, gory film that starting off with my overall thoughts, I had a good time with it. I definitely didn't like it as much as the first one, but I would have given the first one like a 3.5 out of 5. I would give this one like a 3 out of 5, just because there's just a little less going on, and the first one was pretty over the top, but this one like literally becomes a Wile E. Coyote cartoon at one point. And it was it just, if you're not in that mindset, and if you haven't bought in, and you just can't, he's basically got plot armor the entire movie.
Yes, he does.
But it's still a fun ride. So overall, it's an entertaining ride. I don't think you need to rush to the theater to see it unless you really want to see that kind of movie in the theater. But it was still a good time. How about you, Fuego?
Oh yeah, man. I think I told the rep when we were walking out, bloody blast of badassery, and yet the thing is though, the story is a lot thinner than in the first one, because in the first one we get the background of this character and know that, not only was he a former soldier, but what happened with his family, which they go into a little bit more here. And also like just the subplots of, the aforementioned, Finnish women that are kidnapped by the Nazi soldiers. And so I feel like there was a little bit more going on, and dare I say maybe a little more depth to the first one. This just streamlines everything, man. I think it's like almost 10 minutes shorter than the first film that came out in 22. But it cruises, it was bloody, it was fun. I really enjoy this character, this man of no words. But yeah, and I guess Stephen Lang was, he's typical, one-dimensional villain, which is fine. Now, the little bit of like the reveal on what happened with him and the connection to the lead character, the Legend's family, that was definitely pretty brutal and more on the serious side, and added some motivation. But yeah, man, this was unfortunately just a little bit of a step down, but especially if you dug the first film, I don't necessarily think anybody is gonna, walk out of this, and whether they see it in theaters or once it hits streaming or something, disappointed. But I think pretty much everybody will admit that it was a little bit of a step down, at least as far as depth and I don't know, quality of the first one. But the action is great, man. I was definitely thoroughly entertained by all of that. So
yeah, it's funny. It's kind of, if I had to put a finer point on it, it's kind of the love child of Inglourious Bastards and Mad Max Fury Road.
okay.
Because the first half is basically a road chase with various encounters, and then the second half is something else entirely. But all of it has the temperament of Inglourious Bastards. So
Yeah.
If that sounds fun to you, great. Story-wise, though, it's simply about the Legend who is finally going home, after a number of years, and after, the war has ravaged a lot of things, and the war has allowed Russia to annex basically where his home was, before the war began. And so he returns there and basically disassembles his entire home himself and is trying to transport it back across country lines into what is still considered Finland. And a dog is set on him, played by Stephen Lang, who has a deeper connection to the legend than anyone else has. And it's that's the long and short of the story. It's he's trying to get his home across the border, and Stephen Lang's trying to stop him dead in his tracks, quite literally. So story wise, it's lean and mean, it's puddle deep, but entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I did find it interesting. I mean, little tidbits of history I was unaware of about how, once World War II ended, how a chunk of Finland was actually taken by the Soviets, that little bordering area and whatnot, which is where we do shift the contentiousness in this film from Nazi Germans to Soviet Russians. And so that was at least a little bit of a wrinkle, I guess. I mean, it happened with Indiana Jones. It's happened in other franchises that are like set around World War II and need to pivot a little bit. But I mean, aside from that little bit of information I was unaware of, the story is very simple. It's a revenge tale, and he's got Stephen Lang on his ass initially, and then he basically just decides to turn the tables and go after him. There's really not much else going on. I mean, it really does boil down to the action set pieces and everything, which I know we'll get to a little later. This was also written and directed by the same guy who did the previous film, Jalmari Helander, who also did Rare Exports, which is a very celebrated Christmas kind of genre, veering into the horror a little bit. So I know a lot of people dig that flick as well. But yeah, man, I mean, as you very aptly described it, lean and mean, because there's, as I said in overall thoughts, there's a lot less going on in the story here. Transport home and get back to Finland, and that's about it, and extract some revenge along the way. So I mean, not in depth, but I don't necessarily know if anyone would go to either of these two films for like the deepest story. You're going for the over the top, and in the case of this film, cartoonish action, because some of the things that they did in this one, I mean, I always think of the minefield bit in the first film, which I thought was just really funny and really gnarly and gory, and kind of summed up a lot of the tone of straddling the ultra-violence with, some action with a little bit of dark humor. This one definitely cranks all of that stuff up, I guess. So, yeah.
So, filmmaking-wise, it was fine. The shots were nothing super clever or anything like that. It just all told the story very, aptly. But nothing really knocked my socks off angle-wise or anything like that. Sound design was good, well done, well realized spatially, as far as, there's times where things are going on, you have to kind of feel and hear where the sound is coming from and stuff like that. So they did that well. Score-wise, I did like the score. I did too. I did notice it a few times, and they what I find I like utilizing is when they use that throat singing, because they do that a lot in the score, where it's like the first time I remember hearing
Predator, right?
Or like Mortal Kombat is where I go originally, like the original Mortal Kombat. So there's a lot of that in this, but it works. It's definitely appropriate to the theme. So yeah, I mean, all of that stuff. Production design, it's countryside, and then a train. So there's not a ton for them to design production-wise, but what they had was good.
A lot of money on it, I mean, this was made for a modest amount, I would imagine, to up the potential for profit. So yeah.
But yeah, so all that was good. It was all well done.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on the score, because there's the elements where it was very much, okay, this is like big bombastic action, whatever. But the bits that I liked were in some of the more, I guess, somber moments when there wasn't action going on, and it's our legend just going around by himself with his dog. And there was almost notes where it sounded kind of westerny. There was like little bits of whistling here and there, which I thought was kind of cool, almost like a Good, Bad, and the Ugly, a few dollars more, full of dollars sort of vibe, which is cool. And also kind of like very softly strummed guitar. So I thought when the score was a little bit more restrained, it felt a little less by the numbers in that regard. And I thought that because it is almost like kind of I guess I wouldn't call it a like Western, like neo-Western-y sort of vibe, but it does kind of have almost like a Western-y set in Europe. You know, the lone gunman kind of guy going around extracting revenge, which I know is a really popular theme in a lot of the spaghetti westerns, and then like Clint Eastwood's on Unforgiven and stuff. So I mean, definitely jumping around with some of those themes. And I did like the cinematography. More so when you see some of this beautiful coastline compared to just lots of forestry on this road where pretty much the entirety of the first two acts take place. So, I mean, aptly made in that regard, but really, I mean, we have to get into the actual, like, practical effects, some of the gore, some of the makeup and stuff, because I feel like that's where this movie really shines. Seeing this guy just getting messed up further and further. I think a few reviews ago I might have said to you that I used to, with my friends in the 80s and 90s, like, you would measure the badassness of a lead character by how cool he looked covered in blood. And this guy looks pretty badass, all covered in blood. And there's even a nod to Die Hard, you know, walking in the glass and everything, which I thought was kind of fun. So, and even when he's getting tortured, man, and just like the just nasty, you know, just like whip marks on his back and stuff, that looked really gnarly and really gross. So, yeah, I thought that they did not skimp on the gore and just making everything look really graphic and believable. Although, you know, the silliness of the tone at times, flipping tanks and whatnot, I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose of any seriousness in this. But still, I was impressed with the work they did there.
Yeah, I agree. The effects were definitely top notch. Lots of practical stuff. Lots of practical post-Carnage stuff. You know, war-addled post-Carnage. You know, post-explosion stuff, and you know, lots of that. Like you said, the practical gore on him was great. There was some, you know, CG augmentation, but not a ton that was necessary, and there was just a lot of really good practicality that was a lot of fun, for sure. So all the effects, I think, were top notch. I think the only thing that, you know, that I kind of bumped up against, well, maybe not the only thing, but one of the things that I bumped up against was ultimately knowing that this lead and you know, Stephen Lang are the two guys. There's only so exciting that a climax featuring two 70-year-old dudes fighting can be. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and it's nice to see Richard Brake in there, but he was kind of like throwaway.
Right,
I mean,
a little underutilized,
as much as I would have liked. So yeah.
So yeah, I mean, ultimately though, it's an entertaining ride. It's not the deepest, it's not the best, it's not groundbreaking, but it's fun if you want a, you know, a current day Wile E. Coyote, you know, war wound sort of action film.
Yeah, totally agree, man. It's not necessarily, I'll echo your sentiments from earlier. It's not necessarily one that peeps need to rush out to the theaters to see, but that's not to say that it was like terrible or anything. Oh, and I just noticed how they stylized on the poster. The second S is backwards, so it makes a 2 for, you know, Sisu Road to Revenge. So that's,
I don't have that on the poster I have pulled up, but that's
it's on the Wikipedia. But yeah, man, I mean, long story short, if this is even modestly successful, the budget's a little bigger than I was expecting, and they spent over $12 million on this one.
Wow.
Yeah, that's probably a lot more than the previous film. So I don't know. I mean, I know the director's next project, he's doing that Rambo prequel, and a lot of people, based on the level of carnage in these two films, are
perfect fit.
Really excited about him tackling it. So
yeah, that's a wonderful fit, honestly.
Yeah.
If there was like an action franchise after seeing these two movies, you know, the last Rambo movie where he was, I don't know if it was the last one or the one previous to last
Blood
one,
or
but
whatever.
The one where he was, you know, killing fools in the tunnels around his house. That like, this is very much that, you know,
that sort of vibe.
Yeah. So I think it's a wonderful fit, quite honestly. So yeah, good carnage. This is definitely, you know, of the carnage candy variety of films. So if that's what you like, go and check it out. Otherwise, just hang out and wait for it to hit streaming, because everything does, and
eventually,
catch it then. So
Yeah.
that's gonna do it, you guys. Oh, final thoughts, Fuego?
Oh no, I was just going to say, for anybody interested to check out the first film, because as you said earlier, a lot of people probably didn't. It is streaming. It looks like you got it on Tubi, you have it on Hulu and Disney Plus. So yeah, guys, if you have access to any of those. I mean, everybody has Tubi, I guess, if you want to deal with commercials. So yeah, the first film, I would recommend a lot more than this one, but that's not to, like poo-poo on this one either. It's just, I thought the first one was a lot more like in-depth and realized. So
yeah, agreed. All right, so there you go, guys. That's going to do it for our thoughts on Sisu, Road to Revenge. Thank you very much to Allied for having us out to watch this movie. We greatly appreciate you guys. Thank you to all of you for watching, especially if you've watched all the way up to this point. Thank you to our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. Until next time, though, I've been Cecil Laird.
And gracias a Jaime Fuego.
And remember, stay
scared.